Would you like to learn a new language? Parte dos. If you would like to learn a new language, you feel overwhelmed, you're busy, you have too much to do, or you're stuck at one level, you don't know how to proceed, I got you. I got you. This is part two. Go watch part one because if you have not watched part one, you will not understand everything that I'm about to say in part two. When you watch part one, you'll be able to put everything together. Okay? Let me see if you've watched part one. If you have watched part one, go under this video, comment the things that I made you list in part one. And don't cheat. Don't wait until in this video I kind of repeated some of them and you go write them down. Go right now. Go. Go watch part one. But if you have already watched part one, come closer. I got you. Okay. So now to continue, I would like to start by explaining the reason why I made you make a list in part one. So the reason why I'm not going in order because I know in part one I went in order. I'm just gonna go randomly. But if you already have your list down, you know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna go randomly in the things that I made you write to explain the reasons why it is necessary and why and how we are going to use them into the method of learning a new language. So the reason I made you write down a specific country where the language you're learning or the language you've been learning is spoken, it's because I want you into your learning journey, I want you to consume resources, information about that country's culture. Okay? And the reason is because when you're learning a new language, it is very important to also learn the culture. Language is actually part of a country's culture. So learning one without the other, when I say one without the other, you're learning a part of a culture without the rest, is not very efficient. And I'm telling you based on experience because I have learned a couple of languages myself. And I'm a language teacher and I've also taught culture. So it is very efficient, very beneficial for you to be curious about the culture of the country where the language you're learning is spoken. Okay? So that's the reason I made you write down culture. It is very beneficial to consume, you know, information about that culture. So why did I make you write down a bunch of skills like reading, listening, etc.? So I made you write down 5 skills. It's because these 5 skills are the skills that are necessary for you to learn a language and become fluent, right? So that's as simple as that. Don't need to explain any further. Next, I made you write down your hobbies and your passions, the things that make your heart go boom, boom, right? So the reason is very simple. It's because when you're consuming information about topics that you enjoy, topics that you are passionate about, you are more likely to stick to it. You are more likely to be more focused. You're more likely to actually feel excited and motivated about it. Because learning a new language itself can be very frustrating, right? It can be frustrating, it can be tedious, right? I know. So if you are consuming things that are related to topics that you're passionate about, to topics that make your heart go boom, 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 you are going to be more likely to stick with it. It's going to be more interesting to you. Okay? Does that make sense? Yes. Why did I make you write down your routines? Are you asking me why? Didn't you tell me you didn't have time? That's what you told me. Okay, anyway, so you don't have time to fit in a new thing, which is learning a new language. So that's the reason I made you write down your routines because it is so hard. We have so much to do. You got to remember to eat healthy. Don't drink this, drink that. So now, if you already have a routine, your daily life, if you can squeeze in one of the 5 skills, one or more of the 5 skills into your daily routine, that actually will make a big difference. Such a big difference that you will be amazed. Trust me. Okay. So that's why, because I want you to fit in your language learning habits, language learning, whatever you do to learn a language, using these 5 skills that I mentioned in video 1, to fit them in into your routines so that it doesn't feel like work. So now we are working smarter, not harder. Okay? So that's the point. So now, um, what else did I make you write down? Um, I made you write down 3 words: immersion, repetition, what else? Teaching. And the reason why is because for immersion, by combining culture of the country, your hobbies, right, into your routines with those 5 skills, you're immersing yourself without making extra efforts that, you know, language learning requires, because you don't have time. So you're not going to actually make extra time that you don't already have to immerse yourself, right? And also, if you don't live in a country where the language is spoken, it is extremely hard to be immersed, right? Of course, living in another country, or living in a country where the language is spoken, is so much more, or so much better than actually doing the things that I'm saying. But as a matter of fact, even living in the country where the language is spoken, what I am saying, the method I am telling you to use, is very effective there too. Do you understand? But of course, it's even more effective if you live in the country where the language is spoken. Get it? So now let's put them all together. To put them all together, okay, I am going to go in order now, this time. And I took notes so that I don't, confuse you. So, number 1, reading. I told you on your daily routine, what do? You wake up, you scroll. If you must scroll on Instagram when you wake up, why don't you follow accounts on Instagram that talk about the language that you're learning, or that teach the language that you're learning, right? So for reading, maybe you go to those accounts where they have words. Maybe you go to um what's that new thing by Instagram? Thread. That's what it's called, Thread? Yes, that thing. So maybe you go there because people sometimes write a lot in the language you're spoken. You follow those accounts so that you can read. Or maybe what you can do for reading, you go to Instagram, you follow news in the country where the language you're learning is spoken. But again, if news is not in your list of passions, maybe don't follow news. What is in your list of passions? Is it health? Maybe go to Instagram, find accounts of a health magazine, right? In the language that you are learning. And then when you open Instagram, you go straight to the health magazine instead of scrolling aimlessly at other things to fill your mind with nothing. Okay, you get what I'm saying. So, again, reading, you get up in the morning, you go scrolling, if that's what you do. Instead of scrolling aimlessly, you follow accounts, and those accounts, you can follow accounts specifically that teach about the language you're learning, or you follow news if news is part of your passions, the list of your passions, or you follow a topic, or an account in the language you're learning about multiple or one of the topics that you enjoy, that makes your heart go boom, boom. Does that make sense? That's one. And then, so after you wake up, maybe you don't scroll on social media, right? Do you scroll on social media? Maybe not. Maybe what you do, you grab your remote and you watch TV. If you grab your remote to watch TV, instead of watching, um, you know, a morning show that I don't know, in English or whatever language you already know, your native language, why don't you watch a morning show that is in the language you're learning with subtitle? How about that? Right? And the thing is, it does not have to be long. It can be 5 minutes. Okay? How long do you scroll on Instagram when you wake up? For 15 minutes? Then you spend the same amount that you scroll and scrolling through accounts about the language you're learning and about the topics in the language you're learning, right? How long do you watch TV before you get in a shower, before you go to the gym? Maybe for 15 minutes, maybe for 30 minutes, however long, maybe for 5 minutes. Maybe you just check the weather. Maybe you just, to whatever. If it's for 5 minutes, instead of you doing it in English, you do it in the language you're learning. Okay? So that's that. So I'm going to stop right there. Come back for part 3. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you all for watching.